For the Big 12 Digital Network, I'm Annabelle Stefan alongside Conference Commissioner Bob Bowlsby. Commissioner, the wrestling championship is coming up just around the corner, and what Big 12 fans may not know is your personal relationship with the sport. A former wrestler, a former great wrestler, so I want to start by talking a little bit about how you got into wrestling.
Well, it was actually an embarrassment to my family. My dad was an all-state football and basketball player, and I think the assumption was that my brother and I would also be basketball players, but we got started in junior high and grade school with wrestling and just loved it. I grew up in a community where wrestling was important in Waterloo, Iowa, and one thing led to another, and we both stayed with wrestling all the way through college.
What was it like to have two wrestlers in your family and just being able to go at it at home as well as in practices?
Well, I was 4 years older than my brother, and even though he was a heavyweight and I was a 167-pounder, until I was about a junior in college, I could handle him pretty well. But we had a lot of broken furniture over the years. So.
What is your favorite memory maybe of the sport, just growing up and playing?
Oh, I think probably memories of the wrestling room at Waterloo West High School. I had an iconic high school coach by the name of Bob Siddons. He coached Dan Gable and Dale Anderson and lots of national champions and Olympic champions. And so he had won 17 state championships, and it was always fun at Christmas because all the college guys would come back.
You mentioned Dan Gable, a wrestling legend, and what's interesting about this sport is it really spans the entire world. You know, he has fans from all over the world. What was it like getting to work closely with him?
Well, he was, in addition to getting the skin taken off my nose a few times by him when I was younger, he was my wrestling coach for 9 years while we were together at the University of Iowa. And so we remained very close friends, and he's just, he's one of those people that is widely regarded by virtually everybody in the sport of wrestling as being the best of all times. Best wrestler, best coach, hardest trainer, most demanding of himself, and indeed most demanding of his wrestlers as well. And so he's a truly remarkable guy, and he's spending an awful lot of his time now trying to strengthen high school and collegiate wrestling. And so he's really giving a lot back to the sport, and I greatly admire that.
And you've also been an advocate for the sport, and in looking back over the landscape of wrestling over the past couple of decades, where do you feel like the sport has really transformed the most?
Well, we've lost a lot of programs, and that's been an unfortunate aspect of it. I think we've lost over 200 collegiate programs, and so there are places where it continues to be very strong and even growing, but it's been challenging at the collegiate level. And as you know, there was a period of time recently where it looked like it might be dropped from the agenda of the Olympics, and it's one of the 8 original sports of the Olympics, so that would have really been a shame. And fortunately, it was restored, and there's a little more strength there now. But you know, if you go to the NCAA wrestling tournament, you wouldn't think there were any problems in the sport because every session is sold out. There are very rabid fans there. It doesn't matter where it's held; it's always sold out through 6 sessions, and so it's good that wrestlers can get together and celebrate what is really a wonderful sport.
This year's championship is going to be very interesting because the Big 12 has added 6 affiliate members. What was the mindset and the process of making that come to fruition?
Well, frankly, it probably intersected with my background just a little bit because I want those wrestling programs to have an opportunity to compete at the highest level nationally, and they didn't have conference qualifying arrangements that were going to be satisfactory for them going forward, and so we felt like having some affiliate members would not only enhance the Big 12 championship, but would also give the other 6 affiliates an opportunity to have a better qualifying process to get to the national championship. And so I guess you could say it's somewhat me trying to give back, but I think it's also good for our 4 wrestling schools within the conference, and this is the first time we've been able to do the championship at a neutral site, and I expect that we'll draw good crowds in Kansas City, and that this will be a very successful event.
It's great to see what you've done in pushing the sport of wrestling, especially in the Big 12. Make sure to keep it right here at Big12sports.com for all of the latest from that championship. Thank you so much for your time, Commissioner.
You're welcome.